I'm trying something new with my microphone. Do you like it? I like it. Anyway, I wanted to ask you something. When you think about feeling better, like really better, what does that look like? And be honest. I think most of us picture something like waking up energized, moving through the day with ease, feeling at peace, maybe even happy. We're unchallenged, unbothered, finally, blissfully just okay. And so we try the thing, the sound bath, the journaling, the breathing exercise, the yoga class, and we don't feel that. We feel meh, fine, or slightly less terrible, or exactly the same, but now also a little bit annoyed that it didn't work. So we conclude that these things just don't work, or maybe we didn't do them right, or maybe we're just too far gone for self care to cure us. Here's what I want to say to that: you're not too far gone. The thing might actually be working. You just may not know what working is supposed to feel like. And that's not your fault because nobody told you. Hi, I'm Crystal McLean. I am a somatic practitioner and nervous system educator at the intersection of social justice, science, and creativity. And I'm teaching folks how to craft radical self care spells so they can effectively manage their stress, build resilience, and gain some fucking agency over their lives. If you'd like to support this work, you can join us at the Uprising. To learn more, visit crystalmcleancreative.com. So let's talk about what we've been sold. The wellness industry has spent a lot of money convincing all of us, that self-care is a product or a routine or a ritual, but it's something you buy or do or achieve that delivers happiness like a package to your doorstep. And I'll be honest, some of those things genuinely are useful. Not only can a skincare routine clear up conditions that typically make you feel self-conscious, but they can also be a way to connect with yourself and, love yourself, and they can be grounding. Attending something like a sound bath can be regulating. Going to a yoga class can shift your nervous system state in a real and meaningful way. So the problem isn't necessarily the tool. The problem is the expectation we bring to the tool and the complete absence of any honest conversation about what we're actually working toward. Because here's the thing: life is always going to be hard. Grief's going to show up, fear's going to show up, anger, uncertainty, loss, exhaustion, all of it is going to show up. That's not a problem to solve. That's just the nature of being alive. Self-care was never going to change that. What it can change, however, is your capacity to move through it. So here's a myth buster. Self-care is supposed to make you feel good. Feeling good can absolutely be an outcome of this work. But if that's the only outcome you're measuring, you're going to miss everything that is actually happening. Because here's the truth: real self-care builds your capacity to feel everything, including the good stuff. But first, it builds your capacity to survive the hard stuff without it completely knocking you out. Resilience and regulation are not synonymous with happiness. It means you can be sad without drowning, angry without exploding, scared without shutting down, uncertain without spiraling. It means you can move through the grief instead of getting stuck in it, feel the fear, and still make a choice. It means having enough of yourself left over after the hard stuff to actually access things like joy, creativity, and peace when they're available. And that's not very Instagrammable. And there's no before and after picture that you can show of that, but it is everything. So if you've been doing the work and wondering why you don't feel happy or energized or peaceful, I've got to break it to you. You still might actually be succeeding. You might have more capacity than you did 6 months ago and not just realize it because you were looking for euphoria when you should have been looking for agency. Getting regulated and resilient is the quiet, unsexy, but incredibly powerful experience of being in your own corner for once. And that shit is fucking revolutionary. And here's something else that nobody's telling you. This takes time. Whether your dysregulation crept in slowly over years, or if it arrived all at once in a single moment, your nervous system learned to shut down and fritz out and protect you for a real reason. And you're not going to recalibrate that in a weekend. And that's not a flaw in you or in the process. That's just how nervous systems work. One mindfulness exercise is not going to rewire days, weeks, months, years, or even decades of patterning. But showing up consistently, even imperfectly, even on the hard days, that's how the magic happens. This is a practice, not a destination, not a problem you solve once and move on from. A living, ongoing, deeply personal practice. And practices need containers. Practices need a place that's going to be there on the days when you completely fall apart and forget everything you know, because honestly, that happens to all of us, even me. But we need somewhere that holds us accountable, not in a punishing way, but in a, hey, remember why you started this kind of way. And that's what the Uprising is. Not just a course, not just content, but a place to keep coming back to week after week, because that consistency is what actually makes the magic work. So where do you start? Well, you start with honesty. Before you can build capacity, you need to know what you're actually working with. And most of us have never taken an honest look at everything our nervous system has been carrying. Not just the obvious stuff, but all of it. The physical load, the emotional load, the mental, social, financial, environmental, sensory load. All of the things that your nervous system has been quietly managing without you ever acknowledging them. And that's what this week's spell kit is for. The stress inventory is waiting for you over at the Uprising. A full, honest map of what your nervous system has been carrying and what to maybe do about it. There's no judgment, there's no scoring, just clarity. And once you see it, like really see it, you stop blaming yourself for struggling and you start understanding exactly what you're working with. And that's where real self-care begins. So you don't need to throw out your sound bath or your skincare routine. You don't need to abandon the things that bring you comfort and respite. Those things matter. Rest matters. Pleasure matters. But it's real fucking helpful if you know what you're working with and what you're working toward. Capacity, agency, grace. The ability to move through the hard stuff without it knocking you out, and the ability to actually feel the good stuff when it does arrive. That's the goal. And it's worth every bit of practice it takes to get there. The Uprising is here every week to practice with you, because that's what actually makes it work. And your membership supports something bigger. 10% of all of the funds go back to the Give Back Project, supporting organizations working for communities most impacted by the systems that got us here in the first place. And if those systems have gotten you completely knocked down, free options are also available. Your self-care is resistance. Your consistency is revolution. I invite you to come practice with us. I love you. Bye.